everybody. Welcome to Top Crop Season 2. You're with Man Farms today, and we are starting our R3 fungicide pass on some of our early maturity soybeans. Today with me is Ethan and Gunther from AgX, and we're checking on our Architect soybean trial.
We were out here at harvest a little bit, but we actually had a rainstorm come in. We had a couple weeks of rain, so harvest on this relay, it became difficult. We could not get in the fields when we needed to.
Good evening, everybody. Oh, where's he at? There he is. Folks, this is what happens when two people hit the button at the same time. I don't have any audio, Seth. Do you have any? Seth, we don't have your audio.
Oh, check 1, 2. Go
now we have audio.
Let's go. We're live. That's why we're supposed to have one technical director. You're the TD. Let's go. So sorry about that. That one's on me. I was just hitting buttons trying to figure stuff out.
Well, you know, it's just been one of those days.
Well, it is one of those days here, but it was a sunny day on the East Coast. We were enjoying the weather until it started raining. What's it going like over there in Georgia?
We had rain early this morning, and by about noon it was gone, but we didn't get but like a tenth, well, maybe 2 tenths. We planted through the rain.
Nice. That's the spirit. I like that. We now have about 45-mile-an-hour winds, and it's getting chilly quick. Oh my goodness. But rumor is you got something good that happened though. What happened already?
Oh yeah. We have the Perry Boykin special. We got corn cracking.
Let's go. Corn's coming out of the ground. You heard it here first, fam. Right here on Top Crop. It hasn't happened many places, but it's going down in Georgia.
We 5 days in, and we've got emergence in, I think, 3 fields.
Let's go. How many acres are we covering with those 3 fields? Just out of curiosity.
Total in those 3 fields, about 350, 400, man, about 350.
Yeah.
The other side of the river has had they're at about 165, and even though we completely rebuilt the planters, we've had parts fall off. Welcome to farming.
You sent me an image where you guys were broke down. What was happening there in the field?
Lost a bearing. We lost a bearing in a drive wheel.
Oh no.
Bad thing was that was a brand new bearing.
Oh my goodness.
He hadn't moved. I think by the time he was there, he was about 200 acres. So it had about 200 acres on that bearing. But I mean,
we call that a lemon. That one's a lemon.
I call it something else, but yeah.
Let's go. So corn out of the ground in Georgia. We're going to get going here in North Carolina soon. Arkansas will be very quickly behind or right there with it. Probably a couple, 2-3 weeks out. Perry Galloway told us.
I would imagine Russell's going to be right behind us.
Yeah, he's coming quick. He was saying he's getting the ground cleared. I was talking to him. He's been moving and shaking in different parts of the country, speaking and sharing the good knowledge of how to farm profitably and sustainably.
I will say this. Our corn is using somewhat of Dr. Russell Hedrick's method of planting. You pay attention to the teacher.
That's right. You pay attention to the teacher, and Russell's got some good stuff to share. We're honored he's working with us here on Top Crop. We also got Corey Atlee. We've got Perry Galloway. We got Dan Luepkes. who's featured in tonight's episode 209. Let's bring that episode up. We don't have to get it started yet, but let's maybe pop it up there. I think we
new season top crop.
Yeah, let's get it queued up. And this one's featuring Dan Luepkes. Episode 209's got Dan Luepkes in it, and it's got the Fites. We got Shelby Fite and Ethan Fite and the Man Farms down in Ohio, taking care of business, and they're doing some spraying, and they get a special visit from our presented by sponsor Ag Explorer, who I just saw in the chat tonight. So I'd like to special welcome. Oh, we got Dan on the wrong link. Everybody's got the wrong link. Brandon, no, not again. Jiminy Christmas.
I was still in the plant. I was, just so everyone knows, poor Seth had to do this by himself as we came into it because I was blending turntail to get an order out. We had 5 pallets that had to go out tomorrow, so we were in the plant blending deer product.
It's fine. I just don't understand why. I need to grab. So the problem is the texting back is this camera.
I'm gonna go on and start the program, take you down out of the camera, and then you can talk to Dan.
That's what I need to do. That's what we need to happen.
Let's
roll that beautiful video footage. Episode 9.
Roll.
The health of our soil is going to contribute to us making money.
I call it turning trash into cash.
I'm still looking for big wins.
I think it looks good.
Hey everybody, welcome to Top Crop Season 2. You're with Man Farms today, and we are starting our R3 fungicide pass on some of our early maturity soybeans. So just going out there with a curative fungicide on these. We always want to get started with our bean harvest as early as possible. So not looking to necessarily make them super green, that they're going to have the green stems and be really, really hard for the combines to cut. So making that pass, putting in that fungicide, and then foliar feeding them a little bit as well. Just trying to get ahead of the stress. We're coming through what they've been predicting as our 3rd dry spell this summer. It's been hot. We've had a good amount of moisture, so I can't complain too much there, but just the heat has been pretty tough on these crops. So end of July here, it's July 23rd. I think, this next week's hopefully the last spell that they're predicting to be pretty tough on the crops. So going out here trying to mitigate some stress before it happens. We are in a soybean field today. With me is Ethan and Gunther from AgX, and we're checking on our Architect soybean trial.
Maturity do you have? When was it planted? What was sprayed on it? Give us a story.
2.9 variety. This is some of our earliest maturity we plant. Try to get them planted as soon as possible. This year that wasn't super early. We're actually looking at a May 25th planting date, but that's what Mother Nature allowed. So, I would have liked to push them earlier, but that's what we were dealt with. So thought this was a good field to try our Architect trial because maybe just starting off with a plant that might be behind a little bit because of that planting date, and really trying to, give them all that we can give them. So we've been interested in what can we do that V3, V4 growth stage. We're going in, we're making our herbicide post pass then, and what can we do to really get those plants off to a good start. These here we have made that Architect pass, and we're seeing some really good things.
And what we did is we went on one side of the spray pass and the other side of the spray pass as close as we could. And this is what we found, right? So this is not deer damage, right? We plucked the leaves off it. So some of you guys from like Missouri and Mississippi are like, oh, I know what that is. But no, this is we plucked this off to actually show plant biomass. So something we wanted to demonstrate, because you can't see this from the roads, is stalk diameter and branching. So as you can see here, this is the untreated piece, and this is the one that is treated. And the two things that we immediately see is we see the branching, and then looking at the stalk diameter. So if you look at stalk diameter, it's pretty significant, right?
Yes.
What did you call this? Some
Vicious stems. Yeah.
Vicious branching. That's you talked about this earlier this year. We talked about late planted soybeans. Let's catch them up. Let's get them going. Kick them in the rear and go. And that's what we did with Architect. And you sprayed this at what, a quart to the acre, right? It's a 10-5-5 with a micronutrient package built to support photosynthesis, right? And it's got that GABA piece in it, which makes it unique. It's the first ever EPA registered foliar product in the U.S. But that GABA does two things. It helps nutrient mobilization and it helps drop stress inside this plant, right? And it physically tells it to kick it in gear. A lot of times you'll see stacking of nodes by putting a PGR or plant growth hormone on earlier. It looks pretty comparable really when you look at node spacing, but it's the branching that really stands out on this one. So that I think is kind of unique in the stem diameter, and it's everywhere. This actually came from a lighter piece of ground, and this came from a heavier piece of dirt. So it should be backwards, but at least this one should look as good because it's better ground. But this is what we see. It's what you got to physically get out in the field and go check, right? Can't see it from the windshield.
I think this is hopeful for us because it seems like in Ohio, we never really get that chance to get in early anymore. Get a little bit planted April, but not very much at all. And May's, even early May, it's rainy. We don't get that good opportunity. So, if you're stuck and you have to plant in June, which we try to kick it in the butt and, work as much as we can to get everything in the ground. But if you got to plant in June, what, can you do to help that crop along? I think this is a good piece for us.
One thing I just noticed, I was just counting pods, actual pods that you can see that are formed with past flowers. This one has 6 and this one has 5.
Okay.
So it is kicking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is kicking. It's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
We need Mother Nature to rain.
Yeah.
It's getting dry on
yeah.
us. So, to finish this crop off, you have a lot of fruiting sites there. Every flower, every pod is a fruiting site, and it's an opportunity for yield and that outcome. But if you don't rain, it's going to be tough. Some things to think about from an agronomic side of things. When you have years where it gets late and it starts getting dry later in the season, as Mother Nature often does. Things that I think about in soybeans that most people don't is, right here we've got nodules. And these nodules will start to stop functioning and stop taking that water or that nitrogen up at that late R3 and R4 time frame, right? We know that if you cut them open today, they'll be pink on the inside because they're still fixating nitrogen. But have you ever thought about how these nodules get nitrogen? So you remember when we was kids, we'd go to a Dairy Queen and we'd get a soda or pop and we'd put a straw in it. Ethan, I know you did this.
Yeah,
so you put your finger over the top of it and you pull it out and you let it go and your parents would yell at you and say, Ethan, stop doing that.
Quit making
right?
a mess.
Quit making a mess. So if you think about that straw being like a soil pore, okay? And when that moisture gets released, when you let that fingertip roll off of it, what follows that down? Hey, it's air. And 78% of what we breathe is atmospheric nitrogen. This is where those nodules get that nitrogen from.
Another thing that we're doing, the sugars, octane. We got to have that sugar. We got to have the kelpine for the stress mitigation. And then the big one, something we found out just 2 years ago, we've been toying with and we found it consistent. Onward Max, 6.5 ounces. And let me tell you, the trials that we ran with that, there's a reason why it's going on every single acre of our corn.
Making some applications to some cotton, so we've got a product from Fish Head, fish manure. We use a lot of manures around the farm for fertility, and I know the fish manure has a lot of added benefits. We're gonna put it in one of our mixes. It's an organic soil conditioner, and we're gonna use it at foliar at 20 ounces to the acre. We're gonna do it twice. We're looking forward to just more food for the biology, get it irrigated in. We're looking forward to some good results. Hey, Top Crop. Hey, we're out here in these relay beans. We've been kind of tracking them all year. We were out here at harvest a little bit, but we actually had a rainstorm come in, so we didn't get as much footage of harvest as we wanted to. We're only out here for a couple hours. We had a couple weeks of rain, so the harvest on this relay, it became difficult. We could not get in the field when we needed to, just because the wheat wasn't dry, right? Beans got a little bigger. Definitely were bigger than what I wanted. I mean, a good foot and a half bigger than what I wanted them to. So our pusher plates struggled. The wheat started going down a couple weeks in. So I had some issues harvesting. We got her done. I didn't get all the wheat when the wheat started going down, but I had to pick between how much wheat to leave and to try to not destroy the beans. So my first try at it is, I'm gonna say successful, but it could have been better, that's for sure. And we won't really know how successful till we get a yield on these beans either. But at the stage we're at now, right, we're post-harvest, 2 weeks, I guess. This is where we're at. This was some of the earlier stuff that we got in before the wheat started going down. So as you can see, my stubble was pretty tall yet. I was able to mostly get the heads. Farther over in the field, I had to go lower after the wheat started going down. We started damaging the beans a little more. Some of them I almost laid flat because the pusher plates were that low. But they're, you know, beans are very resourceful. They're very hardy. So they're coming back. Some of them we cut off, you know, that's going to be a struggle. If we look at these plants right here, you know, this particular plant was physically cut off with the sickle. I have some that are a lot worse than that. So when you cut off the top, then they have to start kind of branching off other nodes to make up for that. These particular plants did not, you know, get cut at all. The pusher plates held them now. But, you know, we're at our, I don't know if you call that R3 at least, I suppose, on these beans. Plenty of pods in there, but we're gonna need a lot of pods because these are 60 inches on center. It's actually a twin row, so it's 50 inches from row to row, but 60 on centers. These beans are 3.5 maturity, where normally we would be in that 2.5 range. You know, we go 2.8, sometimes some 3s, but this is like a full number further on maturity. And I did that because Jason Mock out in Indiana, you know, he's done a lot of this relay stuff. He's the one coaching me to go with the longer season, get more nodes on the beans. It's the way the plant structure works with the wheat. So I'm just kind of going off what he said on that. But we did come in because I basically abused these beans when I harvested. I gave them a micronutrient. I gave them some sugar. You know, I gave them a multi-source micronutrient. Actually in 2 forms of sugar, 2 different things there. Some of our other little love juices to kind of give them some energy to get going. And we have had a rain. Well, we've still had plenty of rain, I guess you would say. So I'm confident yet. I think, you know, beans really will get going once you give them room. And you see how now, I mean, we're a long way from canopy, but I believe these on 60-inch centers, before it's all said and done, will be at full canopy. We're gonna walk across the road in a little bit, and I'm gonna show you where they're on 60-ounce centers and they are at canopy now, but that's where no wheat was associated with them. That was a mistake just in wheat planting. We had a chain break, basically. So we said we just kind of watch this through the year, and that's what we're doing. You know, the end result will be harvest. People probably want to know what the wheat made for yield, right? That's probably what everybody wants to know. When we first got started, we were right at 100 bushel on the wheat. But then with the weather, the way it came in and knocking a bunch of wheat down, and I couldn't get all the wheat, I think we ended up averaging around 80 bushel. My initial goal was 80 bushel, but when I seen they were running 100, I was happy. But then we kind of went back down to that 80, I guess you would say, because of the difficulties. I do have some ideas for next year, how to change this up a little bit, but that's how you learn, you know, and how you learn on your own farm. So we'll keep showing it to you through the year. Keep a progress report. Safe travels, everybody.
In the past 3 years, we're 365 GDUs behind schedule. So that is one of our concerns here. You know, if we don't have solar, we don't have GDUs, we don't have photosynthesis, we don't have energy into that plant. So that's where, when you guys approached about Architect and being able to add that on at that V5 time frame, I was really excited for it. Definitely looks like it's doing its job here. I'm excited to take it to yield and see if we can't get it on every acre next year.
So this is Organics with deep injection. This is Organics with dry over the top. And it should be 18 rows to the next flag. And this is our Organics with dry fertilizer broadcast. The plant health is definitely better. We're seeing the first lower leaf is starting to stress a little bit. Here we might have been 1 or 2 leaves below the ear leaf that's already started to drop off and brown up. So I mean, the crop stress is a lot less where we had the organics.
What's your population, Shelby?
This is 30,000.
30,000?
Early maturity corn for us. Yeah, looks good.
Where's your number 2?
We're at 18 here. 36 long. It's a nice looking ear.
I'm gonna complain about that.
Look at that, finish out the tip on that.
Yeah.
Next to no tip back on any of the stuff that we peeled back. So you said when we walked out here, this is the first time you've been in this field at this time of year. So we're all seeing it for the first time, raw footage, right? So that looks really great. It pollinated really well. You got a skip here and there, but you're gonna have that, right? When you fill out that much of a tip, but that's great. That means you managed stress really well so far, right?
We've been very happy with that in-furrow pass.
Yeah.
Their fast start product, that you've kind of built for us, and then adding the upward piece to that. I mean, it's just getting it out of the ground, running, and even this point in the season, I mean, this has not been highly managed. This is just kind of a planted and, do the best we can with that planter pass. This looks really nice.
There's a lot of money to be made with the planter pass. When you look at that time frame from V3 to V5, that's our ear determination, so we're setting the number of kernels around, which is always even. Like you said, you have 18 sitting on this one. Going from 16 to 18 is a 12.5% increase in kernel set. Now, that does not mean that you have a 12.5% increase in yield. Like, don't get me wrong on that. So in loud and clear, data would tell you it's a 2 to 3% yield increase by itself. But what if you actually manage this, right, and fill this out this time of year, and you drive nutrients from that source to sink, making sure that we manage these leaves and manage this. These are not just solar panels, they're fuel tanks, right? And they're holding that fuel for late season, filling these out for yield and test weight, and hauling them pounds off this ground. So the upward has got a lot of technologies in it. One being the organic chemistries in it, right, to help this little baby corn plant get up and get rooted, because there's corn has 2 root systems. That first is that seminal root system, which comes out of that seed, and it feeds that plant all the way through V5 when it switches root systems to that nodal root system, which we're living off of now at V6, and that growing point comes out of the ground. What I've witnessed in my time, guys, so Ethan, when you put organic acid in that furrow or in that starter fertilizer, I've witnessed a 22% increase in uptake of potassium, which is big when you think about stalk diameter, leaf width, right? That's directly attributed to potassium uptake and utilization inside of a plant. I'm not saying you'll get that every single time, but I've witnessed that. By not even adding any more potassium to the soil profile, what you're doing is you're taking and changing that CEC right around that little seminal root system, and you're allowing it to capture more positively charged cations, like potassium. So that's setting the stage for this kind of success. If we miss this, guys, there's no going back. You can't go back and set more kernels around. We can wish for it, but you aren't gonna get it. So, yeah, this is exciting to see. Great stuff.
Choose your herbicide. Choose your pest protection. Choose AgVenture. The latest trait technologies featuring the power of the Enlist weed control system, plus the quality and service you know and trust. Produce more bushels with 4-seed Enlist and PowerCore Enlist corn from AgVenture. Visit agventure.com/corn traits to get a whole farm solution with the latest corn traits.
We want the bottom canopy to be healthy with a good fungicide. We use Revitec on it. It's really going to help that bean finish off strong.
Beans are coming right along. We've used Revitec and Reviloc for our soybean fungicide, and we've used Revitec for years. Probably absent of disease just because we've got the Revitec out here, but just mainly for the plant health.
We think we got a pretty good chance here to throw up a pretty big number. It'll be interesting to see.
One other thing we were going to talk about with these relay beans is I had a little screw up with the wheat drill when we were planting the wheat last fall. So we've got a little section here that didn't get wheat planted. But I planted the beans exactly the same as I did the relay. I mean, this was just half width of the drill, but there's no wheat in between. So these beans were able to really bush, you know, and really get with the program because they didn't have the wheat competition. So what's kind of amazing is the different plant structure between, you know, what was in the wheat and what was not. If you look down through here, these are basically 60 inches on center, and these are twin rows. So it's 50 inches from row to row, but look at how we are at complete canopy. So these things have really bushed, and this is one plant. I broke one branch off there just now, but there's, I don't know, we should probably go out here and just count how many pods we have, and it's still podding, but there's a bunch. I mean, I got big fat thumbs. Look at the size of that stem. Now, the problem I've encountered before is if, you know, when you get kind of low populations, which is what this is that later in the season, you can encounter some stem breakage. Boron and silicate, things like that can help you with that, but as these get really heavy, they can tend to break off. Well, that could be a real problem if that's, you know, one of your branches and she just breaks off on you, lays in the ground, you can't harvest it. So we're going to see how this all works, but that will show you what a soybean plant will do at lower populations on wide rows. I mean, it is just branched in every way possible, all the way around, and just potted all over the place. And like I say, we're still blooming and potting, so this got, you know, we're still late July, so we got a long ways to go. And these are 3-5 beans. So kind of sometimes you learn things just by mistake. So, you know, maybe a wide row configuration to try to alleviate a white mold, which I have really bad on this farm. Not to say you couldn't get it, I just seen a plant that's getting a little bit, looks like, but we've just been wet. It's perfect weather for it. You never know what you're going to find. So kind of a cool little experiment here. We'll check these for yield too against, you know, the ones that were in the relay. Obviously these are going to yield more because they didn't have the wheat competition, but, you know, it makes me wonder if in some of these areas with white mold, you know, we go ultra wide on our rows. Maybe we give up a little top end yield if you were not in a white mold situation, but we may be 20 or 30 bushel better than a narrow row configuration where you do have white mold. Something to think about. We're going to keep playing with it. All right, we were just looking at a plant on this relay system, and this was a plant that, you know, did not have the wheat competition next to it, but it was an ultra wide row configuration, like 60 inches wide on twins. So those beans are really big and bushy. They're low populations, probably figures out to around 80,000 an acre, I believe. It was done with a drill, so it's not exact. But we pulled one plant we were showing. I thought, well, we should just pull this apart and see how many pods we got on this. Now, it's the end of July. We got all August yet. This thing is still flowering and putting on new pods. But I was going to count how many pods we have to date. So as of right now, there's 198 pods on that one plant. The main stem was in that 50 area, and then branches anywhere from, I guess the highest branch was 40. You know, I had a 38, a 27, a 29, an 8, and a 16. It always amazes me what a bean plant will do if it's given the room. You know, you crowd them, then lots of times you just get one stem. Something we touched base on over there was when I used to do some ultra low pops, and we had some success with it. But the problem you would get is if you had a really heavy branch later in the season, once this all filled, this sucker might break off on you because there's so much weight on that one plant. They're like little Christmas trees. So we actually started taking our populations back up some, not the ultra low, you know, settled at that. I am on a twin row configuration on 30, so, you know, 120 or 30 seems to be working pretty good for us in that twin row. A lot of guys in 30s, probably that sweet spot's more around 100. But when we tried like 60,000, you know, or even a little bit less, we started getting these enormous plants that had a lot of pods, and we could hold the yield. But if we started breaking branches off, that's bad. That's when we started losing yield. So I felt there was too much risk in that. So why not just put a few more seeds out to where you get a little less branching. You still want branching, but a little less, and it cuts down on your risk of breaking the branches off.
In the past 3 years, we're 365 GDUs behind schedule. So that is one of our concerns here. You know, if we don't have solar, we don't have GDUs, we don't have photosynthesis, we don't have energy into that plant. So that's where, when you guys approached about Architect and being able to add that on at that V5 time frame, I was really excited for it. Definitely looks like it's doing its job here. I'm excited to take it to yield and see if we can't get it on every acre next year.
Well, it was another great episode in the books. Turn your mic on.
You're right. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate those kind words. A lot of hard work and dedication and time from the good farmers that we get to work with. Dan Luepkes and the Fite Man operation in Ohio is pretty incredible.
You know, it takes a lot to get it done every year. And thankfully we have Ag Explorer.
That's right.
We saw what, a lot of little itty bitty changes make a huge difference.
They do. And Gunther was showcasing some pretty big differences there in the fields at the Fite farm. So a lot more branching. The products are working there. So we appreciate Ag Explorers, our presented by sponsor. They're doing some real big things for the farm family that we call the Farmily.
All right. So I did notice one thing.
Tell me.
And now that we don't have, although I wish Shelly and them wish they were here to ask some questions. Did you have a flat tire while you were filming?
Did we get a flat tire where we were filming this episode specifically? It's very possible. We get a lot of breakdowns. It's too many to keep track of.
There is I looked at the background and I'm like, he's got his spare tire on the truck and his tire's leaning against the truck.
So that's the spare tire for the camper. The camper is at base camp down the road, and the camper tire usually on the right day, on most days, comes out of the truck before the truck goes to set. So that's what you were seeing there was the flat camper tire. We did have a flat camper tire this past year, though, so there was a replacement acquired.
I really wish, and you're going to laugh, but I wish we could do one episode of the year to show what it takes to make the show.
Absolutely. Well, we could do it.
From you and I behind the scenes here scrambling to people, you get in the worst of positions, whether it's mud, you have to get the shot. The shot has to be made.
Yeah. We got to get the shot. And that reminds me of times like when we go into a field for a tiling session. What's up, Zach? We go into the field for a tiling session and we didn't realize we were not in a 4-wheel drive. What was it? A Ford Excursion. I didn't even know they made Excursion that were 4-wheel drive. Is that legal?
I don't think so. It shouldn't be anyway. Who had to pull you out?
So where were we? I think we were in Alabama on that one. So there was a backhoe that was brought in, and I think there's some social media. I think there's even on TikTok some social media coverage of that.
Well, we're coming in. We're down to the final minutes of starting. Of course, now Dan and them and the Fites, they're a little bit. Actually, I think they had snow up there today, didn't they?
I don't think today. I think it was sunnier today. I think the snow had gone away by today. A couple days ago, we did have some snow.
Yeah.
I was just talking to them earlier, but yeah, the cows were covered with snow a couple days ago.
And here we are. We already have emergence.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen this year. There's no telling if La Nina sticks with the same pattern as we had last year. We're in for a hot ride.
Yeah, this year's going to be an interesting year. Not only do we have commodity price issues, we've already had weather issues so far, and we're going to have, if the weather holds like you're saying, it's going to be a trying year this year.
Yeah, all these heat. We've seen all these storms coming with the tornadoes and the wild blizzards coming lately. I mean, it just hasn't been a great start. That's for sure.
I got one for you, and I was hoping Russell would be on tonight because I was going to mention it to him. There was a fact that was put out today that during Helene, just short of Russell's house, was the largest tornado ever produced in a tropical storm.
Oh, wow.
1,100 yards wide.
Whoa. That's huge.
And it stayed that way. I think it says it stayed that way for about 65 miles.
Oh, my goodness. That's a massive tornado. We don't need to see too many more like that, please. No, thank you.
We had an earthquake this morning.
Whoa, where? In Georgia?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What was it on the Richter?
3 o'clock in the morning, I thought a truck had hit the tree out in front of my house, and it was actually like a 2.4 earthquake.
Oh my goodness, that's wild.
So yeah, it's welcome to the wilds of farming.
Well, we had one, I think it was probably a month or two ago here, and we don't usually have them here either. So
now
you're rumbling, friend.
Yes, yep. Now we're getting ready to start filming season 3, correct?
That's right. Before you know it, we'll be back in the fields.
Are we going to do any TikTok lives from the fields?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we did quite a few of them last year. Thanks to the ingenuity of Starlink being able to bring us from the fields. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible. I'll tell you that. The signal in most of the places we visit and would be filming just don't exist. It has been an option in the past. So having the Starlink capability this past year was huge.
Oh, yeah. When you get up around Russell's, you're better with carrier pigeon than anything else.
That's so true. It sounds like you've been there before.
Perry's is rough, but I think Russell, if you give the award, I think Russell gets that award.
Yeah. For what? Which award?
Lack of cell service.
Yes, he does. He gets the award for active cells. He gets the most because of his location, East Coast and close to the city. So.
And close to the mountains.
Yeah. Perry service is the worst. It's true. Did we get any good comments tonight that we ignored? We had Tina. Oh, let's go. Tina in the chat tonight.
We had Ag Explorer. We had Mr. Zach Bingman.
Let's go. Ag Explorer in the chat. Big shout out to them.
Zach tagging along.
Let's go. We appreciate that. We got Dave Meggers holding down, moderating in one of the chats. I appreciate you, Dave. One of the book chats.
All right, so where is Bass Agency hiding tonight?
I seen him in our chat in the green room over here on the talk for a little bit. Oh, Tina, let's go.
Well,
yeah, he was in earlier. No telling though. No telling at the moment. Bethany, let's go.
I didn't see Ag Venture on here tonight. We need to call him up and see what he's doing.
Get him in the chat, Ag Venture. Let's go. So we talked about technical difficulties a little earlier. We apologize. We were supposed to have some extra guests. I had lined up some guests for us tonight. And the StreamYard, the platform that we're in, the fine platform that we appreciate for allowing us to be here, was not cooperating, unfortunately. So our apologies to those that watched and thought they were going to get some real talent on the screen tonight. Just kidding, Brandon. You do qualify. I just don't.
No, tonight was a little more than a little frustrating.
Yeah, a little frustrating.
If many of y'all don't know, there is a lot of changes made right now going on in such as the streaming setups like we use, and the tie-ins with the social medias. And it is enough that it will make you pull your look. I pulled my hair out this week because of it.
Mine's just a wig, so.
But it is.
Mine a couple years ago.
They are changing. They are changing technology and data on us literally on a daily basis.
It's true. You're right. I was a little distracted by John's comment. We won't repeat John's comment. Oh wait, what? Oh, Matt, what happened? No, go away. It's true. Next time, though, we'll get some real talent in here. I appreciate everybody hanging out with us tonight. Ag Explorer, presented by sponsor BASF in association with. Let's go. All the other good sponsors. Farm Life for hosting us. What would we do without Brandon? Everybody put it in the chat. We love Brandon.
Hey, I barely made it tonight because I was at the farm while I was at the plant jugging turntail, and I'm like, uh-oh, I gotta go. And then we go eat supper, and I'm looking down, and Seth texts me, and I'm like, oh no.
I could have handled it.
I think I walked in the door like about 30 seconds before we started.
It was one of those nights. I didn't want you to feel rushed or obligated. We could have taken care of it on this.
Oh, no. I enjoy it.
I know. I appreciate you co-hosting tonight and providing your platform. StreamYard will do better next time.
There's some changes, and you and I will work on that. Well, you're going to be on the road. I'll figure it out next week. There's some changes they're making, and I want to see if we can get that part of it done.
Let's do it. I appreciate you. You're the man. You're the technical genius behind all the magic here.
No, I'm more like the Barney Fife. I only have one bullet in my gun, and well, that may not make it half the time.
TikTok shop. We love the TikTok shop.
Yes,
I better cut though. I'm about to get restricted. Thank you for the cord. Let's go. So next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Bring your popcorn. If you haven't picked it up in the chat, get your corn kernels in the store. We love the corn.
We love the corn.
We love the corn. Brandon, I appreciate you tonight, sir.
It has been a blast, even if we were pulling hair out in the background. And Dan,
let's do it again.
I will make sure next week or next time that we get Dan his link.
I don't know. I sent it to him like 2 or 3 different times. Thank you. But it just wasn't working tonight. Russell was having the same issue, so I think it was just a StreamYard issue.
Yeah.
But we'll make it better next time, fam. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Our audience, you're the ones we do it for. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Stay tuned. We'll be in the fields before you know it.
And you know, there's one thing I want to say on here real quick before we get off. It's really tough this year on farming, on farmers, and mental health right now is a big thing. There's always somebody that will listen. If you think there's nobody out there, there's always somebody that will listen. And they're usually making mistakes, and they'll make you laugh because you just realize that your problems weren't as bad as theirs.
Yeah.
But think about mental health, and it just takes 5 seconds if you passing somebody to say hi or open the door for somebody. You never know how bad a day they're having.
That's right.
So let's try to go out there and make it one step better each day of the week.
Let's spread some positive vibes and love all around the block. Let's do it. I like that energy. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that.
And on behalf of myself, wrong side, Seth on this side, and the rest of our band of happy farmers, thank you guys for watching us, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you later, everybody.